Okay, very good. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you tonight. So this is day 2, class 2. And tonight we're going to definitely have some time for questions. A few of you are on here for the first time. And so I just want to go over the portal one more time and give everybody a sense of what's happening. Okay, so this is the portal. Everybody should have access. If anybody has any problems with that, please let me know. I always do a little boost for my book, Total Life Cleanse. You can get it here. It's discounted here, and you can also get it on Amazon. It's nice to read the book. It's not, sometimes people think, oh, I have to do the whole cleanse. There's a lot in here that's about cleansing, about health in general, about Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, philosophy, spirituality, toxins, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so like I mentioned last night, products aren't necessary, but some great cleanse products if you're interested. Also, my favorite glutathione product. I think maybe tomorrow night we'll have, if Pam's available, to speak 5 minutes about the glutathione. Pam Grooms is an expert on this product and also an expert in skincare. So that would be kind of fun if we could do that. For those of you that aren't aware, if you go to the portal, you can come directly to the Zoom from right here. I don't know if you all knew that, but so right here you can do that, submit questions. The dosha questionnaire, I'm receiving it. We're trying to figure out how to get it to you guys, but at least you can see the results of it. And then we go into each day right here, each day of the cleanse, different topics like that. Okay, so I'm just going to touch on day 2 for a minute. So each day has a little blurb here. So what we're kind of emphasizing on day 2 to start thinking about, if you haven't already, adding in some what I call sadhana, daily practices. And we're going to do the tip of nose breath and alternate nose breathing as we always do at the end. Very simple meditation technique. Ayurveda explains that exercise, there's 3 types of exercise: internal, external, and mixed. So mixed exercise would be like hatha yoga or tai chi, and or even swimming. In a lot of exercises, you know how you get into a zone, very internal place when you're sometimes exercising and do some kind of repetitive movements. That's a mixed. External would be more, lifting weights, doing something like that. And then internal is working with the breath and directing your attention inward. So these types of exercises are very, very important. One of the beautiful things about internal exercises, you can do them anywhere, anytime, up until the very last breath of life. So it's considered to be a very good thing to cultivate a connection with your inner being while you're alive. So this is an important part of the cleanse. So we have a video here. In day 3, we're recommending Khichdi. So here's a video about Khichdi. And here's a video about alternate nostril breathing, tip of nose breath, and some recipes. It's a really nice squash ginger soup. You can check out, cleanse friendly. And remember the principle of eating lighter in the morning, a little more in the afternoon, and light at night. Okay, so in Ayurveda it says like a prince in the morning or a princess, a king or queen at noon, and a pauper in the evening. And that's so that we spend our evening digesting not just food, but our experiences of the day, things we have to clear from the nervous system, and also so the immune system can work on bacteria, viruses, parasites, unhealthy cells, cancer cells, things like that. We need that rest time for the body to focus on the immune system. And if we eat a lot at night, it distracts the immune system from being able to do that. And plus, you'll feel lighter and clearer in the morning. And for those of you that want to lose a few pounds, it's definitely a good idea too, to not eat late at night. You have a few more hours between your last meal and your first meal in the morning. Okay. So I just want to go over a couple TLC tips here. Just some things to think about. Nice little quote by Lao Tzu. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. So, when you're in the zone, things happen. So some of these tips just to think about throughout the day. So again, this is an 8-day cleanse. So it's an opportunity, it's like a window of opportunity to direct your attention on some of the more basic, human, healthy, detoxing, nourishing in body, mind, and spirit types of things in our life. And the idea is that in Ayurveda, it's not that we're always meant to be perfect. We're always in the zone. But the idea is that we're meant to learn how to regularly bring ourselves back toward balance so that the physiology, the mind, the body, the spirit can be in harmony. And in that state, there's healing in body, mind, and spirit that happens. So yes, we go out through our life. We have so many different activities, our work, our relationships, and stressors, and of course, through this world stressors, there's so many things. But it doesn't mean, because of all those stressors, that we can't take time for ourselves to nourish and go within and tune into those things that are really helpful for us. So things like slowing down, breathe deeper, speak a little more mindfully, a little slower, walk slower unless you're exercising. Bring a higher degree of mindfulness into all your actions. So even just following this one sentence, 10% more, can make a big difference. I used to think of doing all these things like you got to do it 90%. But I've noticed over the years, just leaning into some of these things, a 10% increase of, bringing more mindfulness into your actions actually is like a 90% change. Because you're bringing awareness and intention. It does a lot. It doesn't take a ton of effort, but the results can be really significant. If you can, simplify your schedule. Okay, just do the best you can. Stay at home more. Go out less unless you're out walking in nature or exercising. Keep it kind of chill. Avoiding noisy, crowded, chaotic environments as much as possible. If you can, get to sleep before 10 p.m. Ayurveda says the best sleep is before midnight, believe it or not. So if you're a really late night person, then just chip it back, 15 minutes every night. The other thing is these days we have to be reminded to put our technology, our phones outside of our room. It's not good to sleep with your phone next to your head. Even better, turn off your Wi-Fi at night when you go to sleep. If you really need a phone call, yeah, you can leave your ringer on in the other room or something. If it rings, whatever, if you're in a situation you need that on. But even turning off the Wi-Fi, you'll notice that the energy in the house will calm down. I remember a few years ago, all the electricity went off in our street, and it felt like I was in the 60s. I remember it was like a body feeling. It was like everything wasn't buzzing, vibrating, like it does now. There's always this, these energies circulating everywhere. And we're so accustomed to it, we practically don't even notice it. Ideally, wake up 30 minutes earlier than you normally would. So the best time, one of the best times, there's a few best times, but it's really good to wake up at least 10 minutes before sunrise. And the idea is that there's like a solar energy that's rising in the morning. And if we wake up before the sunrise, it's like we're catching a wave. If we were surfing, if you catch that wave just right, you can surf. So waking up early before the sunrise helps us surf through the day. We go along with that solar energy and it carries us. Maybe you've noticed that, you know, sometimes you wake up, it's before the sunrise. You kind of feel like, yeah, I could actually get out of bed, but the mind thinks, oh no, I want to sleep longer, or, you know, maybe I need more sleep. You go back to sleep and you wake up and you feel much more groggy than you did the first time. So it's actually generally a good thing to get up at that first time, ideally before sunrise. Okay. If you can spend some quiet time in nature, this is really good. Nature is inherently balanced. When we associate with balanced energy, we become more balanced. And because we are part of nature, like increases like. So when you hang out with something that's natural, you feel more natural. So whether it's walking in the woods, and of course up here in New England, it's cold, and today was snowy and rainy, but get outside as much as you can. You know, bundle up, put on the boots and the coat and the hat. If you're warm enough, it'll be just fine. So get out there as much as you can. So this one, speaking less, is kind of interesting. Talking is directly related to the nervous system. And, you know, not everybody needs to focus on this as much as, you know, some of you might know, but you'll know who you are. But excessive talking can agitate the mind. It will make the mind get overactive. And especially if the subject matter is superficial. So during the cleanse, it would be a good time to be a little bit more deliberate with your words. And, you know, don't speak if you don't have to, because you're also containing your energy. I did like a 7-day silent retreat once, and it was one of the most powerful weeks of my life, really, because I felt so much energy and so much mental clarity, because I wasn't always talking and trying to express myself or speaking unnecessarily, but speaking less can be very, very powerful. I always like to mention this. I mentioned it last night. Prajalpa, or gossip, is junk food. So watch the gossip, the negative talk. Gossiping about yourself, which means negative talk about yourself or thinking about yourself, but also, of course, negative talking about other people. You know, naming something is one thing, but indulging in gossip or negative talking is literally like junk food. It kind of has that subtle pleasure in the beginning, but it always causes a sense of dissatisfaction and unhappiness. So it's very healthy to watch that. It's a human tendency, but I think of it, it's like, you know, eating junk food. And also how you speak about yourself. Yes, humility is good, but negative self-talk during the cleanse, it's a serious mental toxin. So toxins can be physical, mental, emotional. It can be on any level. And so just keep an awareness of that. Set a clear intention for the cleanse. You know, what is it you're here to do? I often recommend people think of a few things they want to let go of, a few things they want to bring in. And just when you go to sleep at night, just remind yourself of those things and just set your intention. Cleansing benefits you as well as everyone else around you. It's no small task. It really isn't. To break a cycle, to set a clear intention, it's actually very powerful. And be grateful for the opportunity and honor yourself in making the choice to improve your life in a real way. It's not an ordinary thing. Observe your attachments and aversions. These are often where some of the greatest gains are. So if you're really attached, you know, for those of you that are super attached to your coffee, that might be a really great place to, you know, work on letting go of something, or whatever it is, if it's sugar or if it's this, or for some people it's, you know, eating, you know, potato chips or whatever it may be. Those attachments, the things that you're attached to, and the things that you're averse to doing in regards to the cleanse. lean into those things too. They often contain a great deal of energy and opportunity there. So some people have a real aversion to meditation. I know in one of our last classes, some people really struggled, and then they got over that, and it was a great, great gain for them. And like I said, let go of some qualities, bring in some qualities, and 3 qualities that you'd like to develop or bring into your life. Write them down, create affirmations related to them. There's something called an affirmation. I like to speak of that a little bit. It's different than an affirmation. And an affirmation is when you say, I am this, I am this, I am this. But an affirmation is interesting. You put it in the form of a question. So you say, rather than I am healthy, or I am peaceful, I am peaceful, I am peaceful. You'll say, why is it that I'm so peaceful? You put it in the form of a question. And there's something kind of cool that happens. It tends to more easily bypass the conscious mind. Sometimes affirmations, the mind will resist. I am peaceful, I am peaceful. No, you're not. The mind will say like that. But if you ask a question, it tends to bypass the conscious mind more, and you can just play around with it. It can be 2, 3, 4 things that you're working with in a day. If you're feeling anxious, why am I so relaxed? Or if you're feeling anxious about a situation, why am I so relaxed about this meeting I'm having today? You put in a question, and you'll find that your mind and your mood shifts quite nicely with that. Okay. I just wanted to talk about, let's see. Nice little thing on Kitchery. Okay, I'm going to read this because I want everybody to get a sense of Kitchery. So during phase 2 of the cleanse, it's recommended to eat Kitchery twice a day for 2 consecutive days. Cleansers often go many days beyond this. Like when we do the 28-day cleanse, a lot of times people are doing this for a whole week. Some people even do it for 2 weeks. We did one cleanse, a 9-week cleanse one time, and people did it for 30 days, just Kitchery. So Ayurveda regards Kitchery as an ideal meal to facilitate healthy detoxification, excellent nourishment, and mental and spiritual well-being. Traditionally is recommended for the elderly and the ill, for those who are cleansing. Kitchery has a nourishing and cleansing benefits. The cleansed Kitchery combines split yellow mung beans, long grain white basmati rice, and a blend of Indian spices like cumin, turmeric, coriander, and hing. For some, quinoa can also be used as an alternative to rice. Also, amaranth can be used. Eating foods that are easy to digest and simple is a motto of the cleansed diet. Giving the body a vacation from complex and stimulating foods is essential. When cleansing, the metabolism slows down as the body focuses on detoxification and healing. Therefore, it's essential to eat food that is super nourishing, but also is simple and easy to digest. This is why white basmati rice is used instead of brown rice. Having its husk removed makes it easier to digest. Post-cleanse, brown rice, which is slightly more nourishing, can be eaten. Traditionally, split yellow mung dal beans is also used in Kitchery. They're high in protein, have a balancing effect on the blood sugar, contain an abundance of antioxidants. Mung beans are an amazing, amazing bean. You should really get familiar with them. There's a lot of science. If you go to Life Extension Foundation and Google mung beans, there's a good amount of information there. Remarkably, unlike other beans, they don't create gas and bloating and are extremely easy to digest. Split yellow mung also has its husk removed. The husk is hard to digest and produces gas. Rice and mung together make a perfect protein. Grains are low in some amino acids like lysine and high in others like methionine. Beans are low in methionine but high in lysine. Together, they provide all 10 amino acids. The spices traditionally used in Kitchery like turmeric, coriander, and cumin are therapeutic, and also hing is when they support optimal digestion. It's easy to digest, low allergy, low residue, and anti-inflammatory, high antioxidant, gut healing, blood sugar balancing, and a super nourishing dish. These qualities make Kitchery an ideal plant-based recipe throughout the entire cleanse process. Starving the body during cleanse is generally counterproductive. The body will eventually adapt and end up storing fat instead of letting it go. Fat stores toxins. Releasing stored fat is an important component of the cleanse. Khichdi helps to do that. TLC cleanse approach is eat easy to digest, gut healing, highly nutritious, simple foods. Khichdi keeps cleansers satisfied, prevents the fat from storing, starvation response, and supports optimal detoxification. Not only is khichdi tasty, but it's also very sattvic. Sattvic means balanced, harmonious. Many people eat khichdi for a few days. They find that they're calm, that calms the nervous system and the mind, which is authentic for any body, mind, spirit-oriented cleanse. So there's in Ayurveda, 3 modes of nature: tamas, rajas, and sattva. Tamas is more dense or promotes sort of a clouding of the consciousness. Rajas is more passionate, very action-oriented. And sattvic is good, harmonious, calming, enhances the intelligence, the perception, things like that. Traditional khichdi recipes often call for a generous amount of ghee. When cleansing, it's important to minimize excess fat. All of cleansed khichdi recipes have greatly reduced the recommended fat in the form of ghee, or for those that are like, for example, if you're vegan, use coconut oil. Eating fat according to your dosha or body type after the cleanse is fine. Okay, so a little thing on khichdi, and that little video has some information too. So here you can, for those of you that are new here tonight, we have the shopping list, outline, smoothie recipe. For those of you that want to get some supplements, you can click here and read about what they are. I mentioned the media fast last night. So, like I said, in the old days, it was, okay, no watching the news on television, you know, at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night. Now, of course, we have news 24 hours a day on social media, on the internet, everywhere. But really limiting, because here's the thing. Whatever we take in through our mouth, through our nose, through our senses, through our intelligence, through our intellect and our mind, we have to digest it. We have to digest it. This is an Ayurvedic principle. It's all about digestion. So sometimes, just like it's good to take a break from eating overly rich foods, it's really healthy to take a break from taking in too much information. You know, so whatever orientation you have, you know, around the world these days, you know, some people are watching CNN, you know, 15 hours a day, and some people are watching, you know, alternative, you know, videos on Rumble 12, 15 hours a day, you know, and from that perspective, both sides should take a break. We need to take a break sometimes. It's good to know what's going on in the world, but we do need our intelligence, our nervous system needs a break sometimes. And then you can get back in the wild and crazy battlefield of life and, you know, and deal with things, but we have to take care of ourselves too. And this is the principle that I'm sharing with everybody. And here is all the videos for the cleanse, and then the Zoom recordings. Like last night's Zoom recording, if you click here, you can watch the recording from the previous night. And usually within an hour or two after the class, it's up. So if you missed it, or if you want to go back and check something out, you can see it here. Okay? So that's stop sharing here. Okay. Any questions so far? And again, this is a small enough group that if you either raise your hand with a little symbol or raise your literal hand so I can see you. If you have a question, otherwise I'll continue. So far, so good? Yeah, Pam.
I had a quick question. Today I went to, for the first time, an Indian grocery, and I asked for mustard seed. Okay. And they brought out a bag that was 5 pounds. Where do you buy mustard seed? Like, we don't need very much, but yeah, is there a place where you can get it where it's not involved?
I mean, it really depends. Like, we can get it here at the local health food store. You might want to check your health food store.
Okay.
They see if they have it.
Okay.
Something local, and even Whole Foods might have it, or a local health food store.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too
Thank
bad. That's a lot. It's too bad they don't have something smaller. Yeah, we can get
Mhm.
all amounts here, no problem. Kind of depends where you're at.
Okay.
Mustard seeds are
Thanks.
very nice, especially this time of year, because they're warming, and they're very good for the lungs. They open the lungs, they're warming for the lungs, and it's, especially for those people in a colder climate. Okay, so speaking of the lungs, I wanted to touch on little Chinese medicine idea, philosophy. And every night I'm going to cover one of the elements. So tonight I'm going to cover the air or the metal element. In Ayurveda, it's the air element. In Chinese medicine, it's called the metal element. And every element corresponds with an organ, with two organs, and it corresponds with a season, and it corresponds with an emotion. Okay. So the metal element or the air element corresponds with the lungs and the large intestine. So the lungs are what's called the yin organ, and the large intestine is the yang organ. Typically, the yang organs are the hollow organs, so like the tubes of the body. So the yin organ of the wood element is the liver. It's blood filled. And the yang aspect is the gallbladder. It's like a sac. Okay, so that's how to think about it. So it's described that the lungs and large intestine, on an energetic level, we'll start the energetic, because every organ, every element has a body, mind, spirit, body, mind, emotion, spirit correspondence. That's just how it works. So the metal element, it's described that the lungs receive the pure chi from the heavens. That's how it's described. So it receives the pure chi from the heavens. So when you think about it, when we breathe and when we do conscious breathing, or if we're out for a nice walk, or we're going for a jog, and our breathing is in a rhythm, isn't it that we're in the moment? It's very easy to be in the moment. It's very to be, appreciating the preciousness of the moments. Described that the metal element and the lungs help us to be more present in the moment, thus more capable of experiencing the preciousness of the very moment. Because each moment has a preciousness to it. Okay. The large intestine, it's actually a very sophisticated organ. Large intestine actually absorbs a lot of trace minerals. It's actually a very important organ. But in another sense, it lets go. So if we can't let go emotionally, mentally, then it's very difficult to bring in or appreciate the moment. Like if we're holding on to something, it's hard to be present, right? So the lungs bring in the pure chi, and the large intestine lets go of that which no longer serves us. So energetically, the large intestine is letting go of negativity or that which no longer serves us. Physically, of course, it's letting go of waste. And so there's this beautiful cycle that happens with the lungs and the large intestine. So it's also very, very important for the large intestine to work well, to breathe well. So there's that correspondence as well. So the emotion of the lungs and the metal element is described as grief. So in Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, no emotion is good or bad. It's the balance of that emotion. So there's definitely appropriate grief. But when somebody's holding on for, really extended periods of time, that means, there's something energetically that they're not letting go of. So this is where healing. So sometimes really having grief is very good because it helps us to let go of something. So, so then you can actually be present again. The lungs are actually quite amazing too. I mean, what are they doing? They're, when you breathe in, blood from the heart is pumped into the lung, the tissues around the lung, inside the lung, the blood vessels. You breathe in, oxygenates that blood, goes back to the heart, and the heart spreads it throughout all the vessels throughout the body. We're going to talk about the heart in a couple nights. So each time you breathe in, you're taking in oxygen, you're feeding the blood's then being spread throughout the body. So all that beautiful oxygen goes everywhere. So grief aspect, which is really quite interesting, is so every emotion has other components. So grief is one thing, but the flip side of grief is an appreciation of the preciousness of the moment. So here's an example in life. Like, say you know somebody that you're close to and they die. Okay. So there's that moment in thinking of that person that all the stuff that might have been there, all the relationship issues that might have been there, all the imperfections that you might have perceived in that person, all of a sudden is sort of, that doesn't matter so much, but the essence of that person is what matters. The very essence of that person. And that's where the grief comes in. Oftentimes, is because we're perceiving and appreciating the essence of that person. And that's the beautiful gift that the metal element, the lungs, grief gives us. So grief the metal element gives us the capacity to honor and respect. So every element is a way in which human beings connect. So the metal element is the way that we connect with honor. So when a person goes like this, namaste, when you see two monks bowing, right? This is a type of honor. If they're connecting, but it's kind of like they're connecting to the essence of that person, the quality of that person, the deeper quality of that person. A fire hug is going to be like a big warm hug. A fire connection is like from the heart. It's a different kind of connection. But the metal connection is that, namaste. That's from that, my inner being to your inner being. And that's what the breath can give us. That's what the lungs can give us. This is what actually a healthy colon can give us, is that capacity to honor life, to honor the moments, to honor and respect other people, other animals, just overall respect of humanity and the planet, nature, and yourself also. Okay, so the lungs and the breathing is super important because it helps us connect with that type of energy. Okay, so that is what I wanted to share about the metal element. And, yes, just a quick thing where lung issues tend to be big in the winter. And so there are some things that are helpful for the lungs. There's some wonderful Chinese herbal formulas that are really good for the lungs. There's formulas that are good when the mucus in the lung is white. There's formulas that are good for when the mucus in the lungs is green. That means something different. There's formulas that are good for the lungs when the lungs are very dry. That very difficult dry cough that a lot of people have gotten over the last couple of years. So there's herbal formulas, and the way the herbalists of the past looked at it, because they saw that we were connected with nature, they would look at it like, okay, somebody has a damp heat condition in the lungs. And what does that mean? So damp means this mucus. Heat means green or yellow mucus, right? If it was damp cold, it would be mucus, but clear mucus. So the heat is usually the green. And so, and now we say, okay, most likely there's a, bacterial infection. So the idea would be that the person, eventually might need antibiotics or something from that perspective. Now, there are many formulas that could hopefully prevent that need. And I would not say don't ever take antibiotics because there's a time and place for it. But there's a lot of things that people can do prior to that in the herbal kingdom. So what's interesting is that the Chinese herbal formulas, for example, that were for damp heat in the lungs, which we call bacterial infection, if you look at those herbs now and study them, many of them have antibacterial properties to them. Where the sages of the past, the doctors of the ancient past, they didn't know about bacteria, but they knew about damp heat in the lungs. But the same herbs that they discovered in nature, this herb is drying, this herb reduces phlegm, this herb is cooling. And it turns out the cooling, drying herbs get rid of the bacterial infection in the lungs. So there's a lot that can be done in those arenas. We hear a lot about vitamin C, for example. Vitamin C cuts through mucus. It's an anti-phlegm substance. So yes, it definitely increases white blood cell. Yes, it definitely can be helpful for the immune system, but it's also, in Ayurveda, we call it's anti-kapha. It's anti-phlegm producing. So vitamin C is very good. Now, why are people taking zinc a lot these days? Because zinc is a very powerful mineral that's an antiviral. If you've been taking a ton of zinc the last 3 years, you may want to think about doing a hair analysis, because sometimes I've been seeing people taking so much zinc that it makes an imbalance between zinc and copper is your antibacterial mineral. Now, we generally don't need a lot of copper, but if you get really imbalanced with zinc and copper, then you suppress the copper and you have less of an antibacterial situation going on. So someone might be, great when it comes to viruses, but more prone to bacterial infections. So these are all things that, that are there in nature. So there's a lot that can be done for health issues and things like that. So any questions at this point? No? Thoughts, questions? One of the things that I mentioned last night, it's on the portal, and I think we'll talk about it this week a little bit, is the glutathione, the swish. It's called NutriSwish. It's a very interesting antioxidant. It's one of the beautiful things about it. Without glutathione, our body, or when glutathione's diminished, the hemoglobin, which is the oxygen carrying capacity of a red blood cell. So that's what a red blood cell does. It oxygen latches onto it and it carries it throughout the body. Glutathione is like the cement or the magnet that attracts the oxygen to the red blood cell. And some of the, for example, COVID lung issues, if you've noticed, a lot of them are not really heavily mucus related. Like in the past, a lot of flus, included, heavy duty phlegm. But a lot of the COVID coughs, even a lot of people are calling it the COVID cough. It's this very dry, ongoing cough. And some people are arguing that it's less about an infection in the lungs and more about the body's inability to carry oxygen sufficiently. People feel like they can't get enough air. So this is why one of the reasons I am very excited about the glutathione is because of its capacity to carry oxygen, help the body oxygenate itself in a really significant way. Not to mention its ability to carry clear heavy metals, chemicals. There's thousands and thousands of chemicals in our environment. So these days, it's important to figure out things and learn some things and some strategies to manage the incredible amount of toxins that are in the environment. I think I mentioned last night this thing about the water bottles that just came out. 240,000 nanoparticles of plastic found in a liter of water bottles these days, in plastic water bottles. And that's 100 times more than they thought previously. And especially when you squeeze those plastic bottles, it breaks down the plastic and the chemicals in the plastic get into the water. And, we don't notice it. But if it's something that, some people are drinking plastic bottles, water bottles every day, that's all they use. And who knows, in the shipment, what kind of, especially in the summer, how hot those bottles got before they were put in the refrigeration, how many chemicals were already released. So we're exposed to a lot of toxins these days. And, this is why cleansing is recommended at least twice a year, doing some kind of cleanse, and then figuring out either on your own or with a practitioner, what are some strategies and things that you can do throughout the year to minimize the toxic burden. And there's some really, really great ways to do that. Glutathione is one of them. Fulvic humic acid is really another great one. And of course, some really great liver and kidney support herbs as well. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with you guys. Any questions or comments based on that? Insights, thoughts? No. All right. So I'd like to spend a few minutes just wrapping up tonight, doing the some breathing. So you guys ready to do that? Let's do it. Okay. So you put your whatever down, and Carolyn, if you're driving, keep driving. But so alternate nostril breathing, I'm a big fan of it. I do it every morning. I recommend 7 cycles in the morning, 7 cycles at night, and 7 cycles at some point during the day. And in left, out right, in right, out left, it's said to balance both hemispheres of the brain, left, right side, right? It balances the sympathetic, which is the go mode of the nervous system, parasympathetic, which is the slow mode. So if you're driving, gas pedal is sympathetic mode, putting on the brake is parasympathetic. Okay. One other thing is, I think tomorrow, unless it was on the first day, conscious eating. I just want to emphasize that. One thing you can really focus on over the next 7-8 days is to really slow down while you eat and take some breaths. Really focus on that. Chewing at least 32 times a bite sounds like a lot, but when you do it, you'll find it's not really that much. So the idea is when we're chewing, we make everything smaller. So it gets in the stomach, and then the stomach, this is an incredible organ we'll talk about in a couple weeks. Well, not a couple weeks, in a couple days. The stomach scans the food and tells the gallbladder how much bile to release, tells the spleen, pancreas, how much enzymes to release into the small intestine, helps your small intestine absorb everything. And everything's in a smaller particle, so when it gets in the small intestine, it breaks down there much easier. So if we're eating and we're not taking time to chew, the stomach has to work 20 times harder, and the small intestine has to work 20 times harder because we haven't done our job with our teeth. Okay. And when we're eating in a sympathetic mode, like stressed out, doing too much at the same time, the body's intelligent. So it's thinking, oh, there's some other priority other than eating. So a lot of times people will come to me and they'll say, yeah, I have acid reflux. The first thing I'll ask is, how do you eat? Well, I have like 3 minutes to eat lunch. I run out of the house in the morning and I'm feeding my kids at night. So there's really no time where they're slowing down. So it's not always easy in today's world, but the truth is that if someone is eating in a sympathetic mode, all the energy is going to the brain and the limbs away from the stomach. The body loves to, when it's eating, if we can be a little, like I said, even 10% calmer, a 10% more present while we're eating, it'll increase the innate intelligence of the digestive system. It'll make the brain gut connection smarter, and then we'll just digest better. So sometimes, not always, but sometimes that is enough to significantly reduce acid reflux or GERD just by chewing and being much more mindful while we're eating. Okay, because we're putting the nervous system in the right place. So sitting down, breathing, if you like to say grace, do your grace, even having a candle in front of you while you're eating, committing to not bringing up stressful topics during mealtime. It's not the best time to talk about your, whatever issues you're having with your family, friends, kids, wife, partner, husband, whatever. And just let it be a time of, it's like saying that it's good to talk about big issues while you're eating is like it's good to talk about big issues while you're meditating. It's the same idea. It's like you wouldn't do that. It's like you don't check your phone while you're meditating. Right. So in the same way, if we can just put some of the stuff away from us for 10 minutes while we're eating, it's a really good thing. So these are all just things, and I think we're all at different times. Some people are much better at it than others, but most people to some degree, even just because life is busy, it's a challenge. Some people by nature are much faster eater than others, but if you're one of those people that tend to eat quickly and do a lot, the cleanse would be a great time to lean into. Let me just experiment what it's like to put my phone aside, turn off the computer, stop looking at things, and just sit there and hang out for 10 minutes, taste, breathe, eat, swallow, have calm conversations, and see how that changes things. Some people it's significant. We had a woman once she was like 80, and she was like this little bird. She was doing the 9-week cleanse with me. And she told us that in 30 years, she hadn't sat down once to eat. Not once in 30 years. And we were emphasizing the importance of sitting down while we ate. And I saw her a couple of years after the cleanse down at the health food store. And she said, you know what? It changed my whole life. I sit down at every meal. I breathe at every meal. And she said, my whole life. She was this energetic lady. It was crazy. She was, I think she was 82 and still full of energy. But she said it changed her whole life. Her digestion, how she felt, everything, just by slowing down a little bit at mealtime. Okay. So let's do a little breathing. So the hand position of alternate nostril, if you're not comfortable with that, if you can do it. So it's these two fingers down, these two fingers like that. They don't have to be straight. Sometimes people think they have to be straight. They can be bent. So you're covering your right nostril with your thumb, left nostril with these two fingers. Okay, so it's like that. And have your arms straight up like this against your body, just for support. And so breathing in left, out right, and right, out left. Spine nice and relaxed, comfortably straight. So we'll do that. And then I'll guide you through a few of these. You'll do a few on your own. And then I'll guide you through the tip of nose breath. Okay, so let's just breathe in through the left nostril, nice full breath. And you're ready out the right. And right. And right. Do a few on your own. 2 or 3. Finish your last breath out your left nostril. Bring your hands down. And place them on your lap. Keep your eyes closed. And just find your posture. Make your skull, but sit in a dignified posture with dignity. And bring your, the balloon is lifting your head with a string. Just gently lifting your head and neck up a little bit without no force. Place the tip of your tongue on the roof of the mouth behind the teeth, gently. And bring your attention to your nose. Wherever your attention goes, energy goes. And just start to allow natural breathing in and out of your nose. Use your nose as an antenna for your awareness. Just notice the sensation of the breath coming in and the breath going out. On the exhalation, after the exhalation, let the breath go all the way out without pushing it out, but let it fall all the way out and wait until you feel a natural urge to breathe in again. So you can let there be a natural pause after the exhalation. A little scan in the body. The body, you notice any holding anywhere, just gently let it go. And come back to the nose, to the breath, sensation of the breath. In fact, allow sensations in your body without particularly focusing on them, except for the sensation of the nose and the breath. Even when you're not breathing after that exhalation, keep coming back to the sensation of the nose. You can imagine, with your eyes closed, looking at the nose sort of from the center of the forehead and your third eye. Just take a moment to remind yourself your intention and purpose for doing this time. And take a moment to remember the idea that I mentioned last night of before you drift off to sleep, just set your intention before you go to sleep tonight. And how you want to feel, how you would ideally like to feel when you wake up in the morning. A very gentle intention. When you wake up in the morning, you do this reflection, remember exactly what your intention is within seconds. And influence you starting. Wake up. Sure that before you jump out of bed, you connect to yourself. You connect in the way that you like to connect. All right, everybody. You have your eyes. Thank you very much. Nice to meditate with you all. Anybody have anything they'd like to share or questions before we wrap it up? All right, we'll see you tomorrow night. Yes, Susanna, you're on mute.
I have a question. When it comes to the recipes, eating for one is difficult because you always have leftovers for the next day. So is that all right with the cleanse to have like today I did the bok choy ginger soup, and I'm noticing that I'm gonna have leftovers for tomorrow.
It's
Is that
okay.
all right?
Yeah, it's okay. With the only thing with rice in particular, you don't want to go for more than 2 days, really.
Okay.
If you think you're gonna, if you made it, the khichdi recipes are big, so just be aware of that. It's
Okay.
really for people. So if you really think you're gonna have a bunch of that, you could freeze it. What some people like to do is they make literally patties of khichdi, like little burger patties, and you freeze them, and then you can bake them or lightly add a little bit of coconut oil or ghee and just cook them later. But it's better than just refrigerating, because if you refrigerate rice for many days, it tends to go. You won't taste it, but it's not the ideal way. But everything else.
Okay. Is it the same with quinoa as well? Like you can't have it
Less
more.
with quinoa, more so with rice.
Okay.
Still with grains in general, it's better to use them for everything.
And for smoothies, can we have the smoothie recipe daily? Like
Yeah,
every day? Like, okay.
absolutely. Yep, for sure. Like I said, with the smoothies, you might want to warm them up a little bit if you're in the cold part of the world. A little hot water in there, it takes the chill out. We'll add some ginger, a lot of ginger. Just from this. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? All right, you guys, metal element. How about everybody doing namaste?
Namaste.
Metal element.
Namaste.
Respect to all. Okay. Good night.
Good night.
You all.
Night.
Bye, Julia.